When people think about how American Sign Language expresses the concept of time, they often do so in generalizations by saying things such as, oh, in American Sign Language, you always sign the time first. These generalizations, while perhaps helpful for students who are beginning to learn ASL, won't serve you as you move on to more advanced uses of the language. So let's take a look at how time is expressed in American Sign Language. The first thing that we should remember is that time signs and modals are two different things. Modals, or helping verbs, auxiliaries, whatever we call them, are those verbs such as the sign to finish, will, did. These signs that do bear some relationship to time, but that are used more for emphasis. And remember, modals occur either just before the main verb, or they can be repeated at the very end of the sentence. But they relate to emphatic uses. They emphasize something did indeed happen, it has indeed finished, or it will happen, is going to, or perhaps that it's possible or necessary. Time signs, on the other hand, are these general signs that we use to talk about time. Signs like Monday, last week, 2 weeks ago, next month, next year. These signs can occur in different places. While it's true that time signs often occur in the topicalized information at the beginning of the sentence, that's not the only place they can occur. In topicalized information, they occur as a way of giving background, letting the person that you're talking to know when the events that you're about to describe happened. If you use, for example, this first sentence, then you've set up the time with yesterday, and then you can go on to speak about whatever you want to talk about. In this case, I've said I ate the apple, and I did use a modal, so that emphasized that it did happen yesterday. Perhaps if I'm arguing about someone and they say that I ate the apple 2 days ago, and I want to emphasize that no, in fact, it was yesterday and I did do it, then I would do that. But I could then go on to talk about other things like going to the store or maybe buying groceries. And as I sign those signs, because I've already established that yesterday is the background information, it'll be assumed that everything I'm talking about is yesterday. That'll continue until I give a new time sign, or I in some way indicate that I'm no longer talking about yesterday, but talking about a different period. In the second example, we have the information in the background. And in that sentence, the last week is set up again as part of the background information. The point, the emphasis of what I'm saying is that I read the book. Now, in these sentences, we have time signs that don't occur at the beginning, but that occur at the end of the sentence. When the time is not the background, but it's the information you're wanting to give. If maybe you know that I read the book, but you don't know when I did it, then I would sign the sign this way, because last week is what I'm trying to tell you. It's the emphatic point, so it would come toward the end of the sentence. So I might sign a sentence like the first one. Again. Or in the second sentence, when I say that I started to study for the test, last night. I'm emphasizing it was just last night. So I wouldn't put last night as the topic, because that would imply that last night is background and what I'm trying to tell you is what I did last night. But I would put last night, as in this sentence, at the end, because I'm saying, okay, the test, well, I started to study for it, and here's the point, it was just last night. Oh my goodness, maybe I'm going to fail. So when you put these time signs at the end, they give that emphasis to the time itself. So that second sentence would be signed like this. Again. In order to think about time, and really to think about topics, locations, and just the flow of information in ASL in general, it's helpful to remember this schematic. Information that's put in a topic is the least emphasized. It's the background information. It's what you say just so that you can give other information. It's what you need to bring to the mind of the person you're talking to so that you can say other things. Other things then come up in the sentence, and then the emphasis of the sentence, the most emphatic thing, tends to be at the very end of the sentence. So sentences flow from old background information to the emphasized new information, which is at the very end of the sentence. But remember, this too is just a helpful paradigm for how information is laid out. There are many instances where it's difficult to put the exact ASL word order into this pattern. So this should be used as a pattern, but you should not think of it as some sort of law that cannot be violated.